Hello and welcome to Atelier Sandrine Moji. In recent videos I've been working with gouache, testing the Daniel Smith gouache range, and in the previous video I did a color wheel and a color chart and a quick landscape demonstration to test the colors. In this video I'm going to take it further. I'm going to paint a full seascape and I'm going to do it trying two different methods. So the first one will be the watercolor method, where I'm going to dilute my gouache a lot and just paint in washes like I would in watercolor. And then I'm going to do the same painting, but using the gouache a lot more thickly, like I would on most acrylics, and using a lot less water. And then I will compare the two to see which one I like best. And also I will review how the gouache paints have performed during the two demonstrations. So I've got my usual favorite palette here, the Meaden palette with the double well in the middle and the colors around. I squeeze my paints on the edges so that I can mix them in the well. And at the moment I've got 3 blues and 1 ochre. So this is going to be a seascape. I've got Tyler blue, green shade, ultramarine blue and Indian throne blue. And I have yellow ochre for the sand. I'm using a very big brush compared to the size of my little pad. And this first demonstration is going to be using the gouache as I would watercolor. So I'm wetting the paper a lot, really drenching it, and I'm going to paint in washes. This is the Tyler blue green shade. This is the French ultramarine, and I'm mixing the paint straight on the paper like I would do in watercolor. This is a technique I like to do in watercolor, rather than mixing the blues on the palette. And then I've got the Indian throne. And then I've got the ochre here at the bottom, which is going to be the sound. I don't know how the color is going to shift when it dries, so I'm going to add a bit more in case it goes lighter. So this is still wet on wet here. It is very, very wet. Gonna add a bit more ochre as well. Mottle it for the sand. And then while this is still wet, I'm gonna lift a bit of cloud. Now all these are techniques that I normally use with watercolor, so I don't know if that's going to work with gouache, but that's the whole idea really, is to see how gouache works when I use it with this technique and how it works when I use it with a thicker technique. Now I'm going to leave this to dry and come back to it. The washes have dried, so I've wetted the paper again, and I'm just doing a little bit of white on the edge here to do the edge of the little waves that break on the beach. I don't want to do anything too complicated. This is very simple Seascape. And with my darkest blue, I'll go as well. Giving a bit of depth and some markings, doing some waves in the white. That's still on wet, the paper is still damp. I finished the gouache Seascape using the watercolor method, and I'm going to do the exact same painting on the other side here, but this time I am going to mix my colors with white and use them a lot more thickly. I'm using a lot less water. And then using white straight on the paper here to start lightening my blue. So with the previous example, I just used more water to make the blue lighter towards the horizon. With this one, I'm using white in my blue. And then going up in the blue to make a smooth transition between the two. Can add a bit more dark blue at the top. And then for the cloud, instead of lifting it, again, I'm going to go with white. The paint is still wet here, so I'm probably going to wait for it to dry so that the white looks stronger if I do it on dry. And then the sea, I need more indent throne. And my other blues mixed in it. And some white as well. That's looking very creamy. It's lovely. A bit brighter tallow blue here. It's really fun to blend the colors like this. It's completely different from using watercolor. And then the ochre. Again, less water on dry paper. Bit of stippling, giving a bit of texture. I want the texture of the sand to be different from the texture of the water. And then again with the white. Doing the edge of the water. You can see some sand by transparency on the edge. Okay, I'll leave that to dry and come back to do more details, mainly white, a little bit of foam on the edge, and some more white on the cloud. Alright, I finished both paintings. The one on the right is the one where I used the gouache lac watercolor with very loose washes and a lot of water. The one on the left is where I used the gouache a lot more thickly, like I would acrylics. Just prop it up so you can see them flat-ish. I'm actually surprised that I kind of like this one better. I like the one with the thicker application of the gouache where I can't really see the paper through like I do here. And that surprises me because I really like to see paper through paint. But I think the gouache really performed as its best when I mixed it and I used it as a much thicker medium. There is a lot more definition. Also, something I noticed is that the French ultramarine, which is a pigment that granulates, was allowed to granulate a lot when I used a lot of water, but when I mixed it with white, the granulation sort of got cancelled in the mix, so the sky is a lot smoother, although it's the same color, it's a lot smoother on this side. And also the gradation from the stronger, more saturated sky down to the lighter sky on the horizon is a lot softer, a lot smoother on the one on the left. So, what do you think? Use the comments and let me know. Would you use your gouache like you use watercolor, or do you prefer to use your gouache like you would an acrylic in a much thicker application? If you like the video, please hit the subscribe button. I hope you enjoyed the video and I will see you soon in Atelier Sandrine Moji. Happy painting! Bye!